Hello and welcome. Give me just a second. Here we go. All right. And it's loading. There we go. Awesome. Okay. So we are going to be doing another cleaning stream. As you can see back there, I did find my lights. I'll probably actually put them, depending on how you make them, I might put them behind my bookcase to kind of make a backlight, so to speak. But we're gonna be cleaning that up for stream. Yeah, we're also going to be listening to, because I was already listening to this while working, Dr. Dave Explains, the YouTube channel. We're going through his Flat Earth debunks, because it's just fun. It's just fun, guys. It's just fun. So we'll be listening to that. I'll probably have it down, audio down a little bit, but yeah, let's go ahead and start cleaning.
Acceleration vector,
and I'm gonna
somehow a massive scandal.
Turn this down a little bit,
and that's fine, but you probably should, because it's the only way you're going to get
okay, there we go.
Falling objects accelerate towards the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared. That's an observation.
We got this section done last time, so I'm going to be focusing over here.
And actually, that would take care of it. No Einstein, no 10-minute PBS tangent needed. You say you don't like it, so let's move on.
Especially if you're a believer in relativity, then certainly you know that there's no way to know if there's no, you said there's no direct motion, or there's no fixed motion. But clearly, if that's the case, then how could you ever say that the Earth goes around the sun? It makes no sense. That if there's no, you can't come up with that, then it's the same. You know, somebody standing on the sun would see the Earth going around it, and somebody standing on the Earth would see the sun going around it.
Yeah?
That's the sound of science at play. No, that's the sound of a man with a worldview who is refusing to go by observations and instead would rather make something up like the expanding universe that exploded from nothing at the Big Bang and continues to fly out at crazy speeds.
I love
the speed of light. Just insane.
Yeah, sounds pretty zany, but the Big Bang cosmological model is very well substantiated by empirical evidence. Recession velocities of galaxies suggest a particular universe, and the detection of
the Christmas stuff, which is over there, unfortunately.
Let's not forget that even in modern days,
go over here.
Been recently done in the last decade, like the cosmic microwave background experiment and measurements, right? What did it find? It found that the Earth was at the center of all of the
Okay, there we go.
Oh, no.
And be sure to check out Dr. Dave Explains. He's a dude, cool dude.
Isotropy, meaning that it looks the same everywhere, and it has absolutely nothing to do with what you're talking about at all. Google it and see. But I think you know that. I think you're borrowing the term to make an unrelated claim and are hoping that your viewers won't look into it.
There are no direct measurements of dark matter. For crying out loud, in fact, mainstream physics right now at this point has all but completely debunked it. So you are so far behind the curve, Dave, you don't even know what the hell you're talking about, dude. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, they're basically looking there and saying, oh, there's a bunch of stuff missing here. And then he's saying that is direct evidence?
No, guys. Astronomers don't just say there's stuff missing here, therefore dark matter. You may think that because you read a blog post that oversimplifies the concept for a layperson, and you've convinced yourself that you understand it better than scientists. But in actuality, the people that know dark matter is there
hey, look,
trying to figure out what it
it's my Robotech mouse pad.
can't even demonstrate a gravitational wave other than if you want to take Neil deGrasse Tyson going on stage and dropping a microphone and calling that gravity.
That is
You can
correct.
sit here and say we don't understand this, Dave, but you would be quite wrong because we have lectured on this many times about exactly how it does work and how it is quite impossible.
All right.
Then you have Einstein's model of gravity, which of course is theoretically the bending of space and time. Again, something that is not demonstrable, is only theoretical, is only mathematical. You have no proof of it whatsoever.
Ooh, that could have been bad.
Okay, it makes no sense, and it's a big lie. And I'm sorry, but you're never going to be able to prove it because there is no proof for it, no matter what your mathematical equations say, Dave. Okay?
All right, there we go.
Sorry, general relativity is one of the most corroborated theories in the history of science. The model predicts the
Halo book!
of Mercury
Halo
with
book!
precision. We can see gravitational lensing all over the universe with magnitudes that align with the cumulative masses the light is bending around. Relativistic time delay in radar signal travel time near the sun.
Okay.
Once again, if you don't understand any of that, that's not my problem. So that's the bulk of it, but let's quickly hit some of your miscellaneous points.
People talk about the Santiago to Sydney flights. Well, if you go into
Yeah.
it with understanding that there are winds aloft and these patterns are traveling, these wind currents are traveling in these patterns, especially towards the southern edge, and their velocities are extremely high. They go up to 199 kilometers per hour, or 136 kilometers per hour, and you add these velocities to the aircraft flight speed, which gives you a higher ground speed, then all of a sudden these distances are not so impossible to achieve, and they make a lot more sense on the flat Earth.
This thing with the flights. You used to say there were no direct flights
Yeah.
in the southern hemisphere.
I was about to
Now you're
say.
admitting there are, so because they have to go so far on your model, you explain it with these 200-kilometer-an-hour winds, which is hurricane speeds. Also, just find the flights online. Here are several I found in about 30 seconds. They go one way and then return the other direction in pretty close to the same time. So I just don't know what you're talking about here. The flights are consistent with around Earth.
Or the the whole nonsense about Aristophanes measuring that the Earth was a sphere and knew its exact size and stuff in 275 BC, but it then took 1,800 years until somebody got in a boat and said, "Let's go west." It's just ridiculous.
Totally irrelevant. Sailing across oceans was very treacherous back then. The statement is also patently false. Vikings were going west hundreds of years before the other European explorers.
The only thing that is obvious is the Earth is obviously and observably flat. You look out, you never see any curve, you see flat. Doesn't matter how
Train
far you
butt!
go,
Train butt!
all the way up to 120,000 feet. There is no curvature.
Right, except for that
Alright,
if you take
so-
the original source for the video footage you guys show and skip around a little, we can see that a lens effect is causing the horizon to literally invert depending on where it is in the frame.
Alright.
It can look flat, it can even become concave, and it certainly can look round. So when you only show the flat part, what do we call that?
Damn, got him.
There is
With Asana, you can manage any kind of work. From
Oh,
project
yeah.
control to campaign management to strategic planning or anything else your team works on. Asana will try for free today.
Do it?
Asana.com.
Oh,
in the light. And
Good,
not
you
just
can
that,
keep her.
The Earth has magnetic fields.
Right, Jenna?
Magnetic fields can indeed perturb bend the path of light.
No, it can't. Try and demonstrate it.
Which is not Earth rotation, Dave. In fact, it's quite easy to prove that it's the energy of the heavens and of the ether, the lumina.
Love you.
Ether.
Energy of the heavens? That's the most pseudoscientific term I've ever heard.
The entire periodic table
So
is
here we go.
calculations, and it works. We use it to do chemistry. You have no clue what you're talking about. The periodic table
An
is
old,
physics, but you have to
trick-or-treat
go on
bag
like
the
you're
girls
some
had.
sort of smarty pants by using big words like quantum calculations.
I'm sure that to you, quantum
Calculation.
big words, but to grown-up real chemists, they're real things that are done every day. And I'm sorry, I do know what I'm talking about. I studied chemistry. I've done chemistry. I taught chemistry. And because of that, I understand that quantum mechanical calculations allowed us to discern the shapes and relative energies of atomic orbits
Alright.
that electrons inhabit within an atom. These electron configurations are what give elements their properties, and it is what is responsible for the periodicity that makes the periodic table what it is. This fundamental understanding allows us to predict the properties of certain compounds and materials that are inside your computer and your smartphone that you use every day. These calculations also
Let me take a look at these, actually.
which connects chemistry
I got
beautifully to a
2 remotes, which is
allows
nice.
us to look at the light from an object and know what it's made of. That's how we know the sun and the stars are made of the same stuff. But once again, if you don't understand that, it's not my problem.
Well, he's doing what he was told to do, right? I was
Yeah.
gonna say, he's doing what he's told to do, which is to read the curriculum, the lesson plan, the educational program.
No, guys. Myself and other teachers of undergraduate and graduate level material make our own curricula. When I taught what I pleased.
We were all indoctrinated by the same system.
Also not true. Every country has its own educational system, some are better than others. In America, we have public and private institutions, the latter of which are not federally funded.
Okay, here we go.
Everyone is getting the exact same education, especially the brainwashy one that you're implying is just not true. Furthermore, science is not doctrine, as much as you pretend it is. Even as early as high school, students do experiments to determine how things work. They take a
Okay, here we go.
and a pendulum or a lamp or whatever rudimentary apparatus, they take some measurements, and they personally derive the equations that science already knows. Students are not handed their worldview like a Bible. They actively create it as they go through undergraduate and graduate programs, doing empirical science, making predictions, thinking critically.
Got another mouse.
All the new technology.
Another mousey. Mousey.
Studied science in a formal setting. You'd know that. And finally, let's touch on the conspiracy factor. Seems like a lot of people would like to be in on this, no?
I don't even think that the majority of people who work at NASA are in on it. You know, the guys that are designing satellites and designing the rovers and stuff, I'm very confident that they believe what they're inventing is going up into space. But that's it. It's plausible deniability.
And then what?
Model railroading.
As people
Although I don't have HO. I have O.
full salary.
But it is what it
Thousands
is.
of people just sit in an empty room and stare at the wall like George Costanza and the Penske file? It's not just NASA. All scientists. If literally all of physics is wrong, what do physicists do? Or geologists? Do they just hide under a pile of coats every day for 50 years? Who pays for that?
I've had this for
And the globe busters, like all prominent flat earthers,
over 20 years.
list of talking points.
This is
That endless list is nothing more than
Uh,
a fraction from one simple
a playing guide,
There
like
is
what
no
strategy guide
model.
for the first 2
Let's put
Pokemon
it
card
this way.
sets.
How do
Obviously,
you
I'm missing the cover, but
and not the other? Pretty funny, huh? Want to try and answer the question?
Clearly, refraction comes into play here as well. So the sunlight is not going to shine forever in all directions. When it hits the atmosphere, it's going to be bent or perturbed
Okay.
in varying directions. But that's a very, very simple one to answer.
If it's so simple to answer, where's the illustration? I bet I know.
And it's a close sun, and so it allows
speaking of Pokemon cards, here's some Pokemon cards. Hello.
plane at a time.
They're my daughters, so they're kind of
About half the plane?
trashed.
And only about half the plane at a time.
No, guys, it must be exactly half the plane, because exactly half the world is day and half is night at any given time. I'll give you one more chance to do anything beyond just listing random terminology.
Come up with a mechanism whereby light dissipates appropriately.
The atmosphere, the air,
The
everything
atmosphere,
around.
the air, the inverse square law, light dissipates, by that alone.
Okay.
This guy is so
We don't need
lost
to come
in
up with that.
space.
That's already been come up with.
It's pretty obvious why you just say a few words and giggle to yourself, because there is no way you're going to explain this line with the inverse square law. And
This
I
is,
would love to see you try.
Comic book
Sorry,
bags.
this model works much better. As Earth rotates, facing the sun, and nighttime when facing away from the sun.
This is a Colts calendar from way back in the day.
And what was your complaint about the seasons again?
We've got nearly 400 Earth diameters that we get closer to the sun, at least in the northern hemisphere, in the wintertime.
What you're saying is
This is some of my daughter's old homework. I don't know why it's on my clipboard.
Northern hemisphere in order to sound so confused.
Let's see what's in my clipboard.
In July it's cold, and in January it's warm, which correlates with the change in distance. So
I'll have to go through that later.
Can't have anything to do with it, but you say it anyway. And what was your model for the seasons again? Well, this still doesn't work because the seasons are all the same length and the sun always travels through the sky the same speed. But once again, a much bigger problem is that you don't even try to put these two models together. You don't show the path of the sun changing on this one like you say it's supposed to, and you don't show the sun illuminating precisely half the Earth on this one like you know it's supposed to. You just can't put these two together, and because you can't do that, there is no such thing as the flat Earth model, which is kind of a huge problem for you.
All right,
We're gonna be underwater.
I'm back.
I'm already so
Put on my face.
Fixables. Just use Grammarly.
All right.
Can look through the proposal to find what's missing. And look, Grammarly knows the audience is non-technical, so it can take out the jargon and make the benefits easier to understand.
cool. And with
Trains.
across 500,000 apps,
Trains.
we'll never be underwater again.
Yeah, and movies.
For free.
Now, you know very well that I called you out on this before. What was your response? The sheer fact that each phenomenon requires its own independent explanation makes it unscientific. If you invent a luminous sun-like... Some food for thought. Before we wrap up, let's see what you had to say about medicine.
Of course, you've got these Western medicine that just basically masks symptoms or covers up your symptoms. So
There is so much evidence at this point that shows that vaccines are extremely harmful.
There's no evidence.
Proven unequivocally and linked to autism.
So
Nope.
I think that's okay to send your children to these doctors and let them poke them. I don't know how many shots that kids get nowadays. It's like 70 or something ridiculous. It's pretty scary.
So I don't know if he's going to mention anything about it because this isn't what this video is. There's only been one study that's even come close to proving that vaccines cause autism. And in that study, the doctor was being paid under the table by a lawyer so that they could sue vaccine manufacturers and medically abused children. And even after the results of the tests that he abused, medically abused children, some of them actually having autism, didn't prove what he needed it to prove. He then lied and made up the results of the test anyway. And on top of that, because he knew he was going to be disproving, proving that vaccines were caused autism in his study, he then took millions of taxpayer, well, it's not dollars because it was in the UK, but he took so much taxpayer money that went towards bogus bullshit. It's vaccines don't cause autism. And to say that means that you are dismissing the abuse of children in that study. And in future studies where people were trying to prove his study right after the fact, after it had already been proven that he lied in the first place, people still were trying to prove it by conducting the same exact procedures and medically abusing children again. That is where it started. So if you want to say vaccines cause autism, you're also saying that you agree with abusing children. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. When I hear someone say that, that's my immediate thought is, oh, I approve of abuse of children.
Scary.
Anyway.
This is really how I justify having gotten involved in this at all. If someone wants to believe the Earth is flat, I don't care. But as you have demonstrated, conspiratorial thinking makes people susceptible to other conspiracy theories, like the anti-vaccine movement, which is a public health risk. It endangers other people.
Yep.
But that's a debate for another time. So that's it. To my regular viewers, I hope you got a kick out of this. To any flat earthers watching, if you seek the truth as you claim, you need a coherent model. A single, physical, working model that explains everything around us at the same time. Because everything is happening at the same time. And you need to be demanding this model from the people you're following. And finally, to the Globe Busters. I don't know you. I don't know what motivates you. You might believe in
Okay.
things that you say. You might be deliberately manipulating your followers to earn money and feel special. I can't
That's
be
my
sure.
bet.
You can respond to this video or not. I don't care. I'm definitely not going to be making any more of these because I have much better things to do, and I'm going to get back to doing those things now. To anyone who made it to the end, thanks for watching. Take it easy.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus.
Oh no, not my brain!
When you're in the zone.
Yeah, I'm in the zone.
So some of you
Auto
are
zone.
aware of my recent foray into the Flat Earth community.
Yeah.
Most notably with this lengthy response to the Globe Busters. For about 2 months now, the comment section of
Okay.
the video has been a consistent hotbed of activity, with hundreds of Flat Earthers stopping by to share their opinions. For people who claim that globe-tards just repeat what they were told in school, you guys sure do all say the exact same things. And I don't just mean the same arguments, I mean the same things word for word, like they were copied and pasted from some manifesto. This is because you all watch the same ridiculous YouTube videos made by the same handful of con men, and you all quote them verbatim without applying a shred of critical thinking. So now that I am intimately familiar with your greatest hits, I just had to make one more video so that I could share the 10 things that all Flat Earthers say. If you're a regular person and you haven't seen my other 2 Flat Earth videos, you may want to check those out first for a little bit of context. But if you're a Flat Earther yourself, don't bother. I'll be speaking directly to you throughout this video. Let's begin. Number 1. One extremely problematic side effect of taking the globe and flattening it out into a plane is that gravity makes no sense, and there is no reason for things to fall to the ground. All objects accelerate towards the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared. That's an indisputable fact. And it is also an indisputable fact that any acceleration requires a force to produce it. This is how cars drive, planes fly, people walk, cats jump. It's how literally motion works. Even charlatans like the Globe Busters accept at least this much, which is why they go off on their rants about magnetic magic, as you may have seen in my previous video. But quite comically, most Flat Earthers don't even do this. Most of you address this problem by simply listing 2 words, density and buoyancy. Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but these are not forces. Forces are vectors. They have a magnitude, which means a numerical amount, and a direction, which means they have to point somewhere. Density is simply mass per unit volume.
I'll ask if we need to keep that. That's trash.
It doesn't point anywhere. And buoyancy is simply a measurement of an object's tendency to float. So allow me to repeat. These are not forces. This is trivial to prove. You say that objects fall down because they are more dense than the air below them. Why down? Why not up? Or sideways? When you let go of a ball, there is air all around it. How does it know to fall down? Also, objects fall down when they are in a vacuum, which means there is no air below them. What's happening there? Face the facts. Things accelerate down towards the ground because of a downward force. That force is gravity, which pulls everything towards the center of the Earth, which is its center of mass. Denser
Glad I found those.
less dense things because gravity exists.
I went walking with the dog in the park earlier today,
This is clearly why
and
less dense than water.
he pooped several times, and I was out of poop bags, but now I have poop bags.
Some of your more popular retorts to this include wondering how oceans stay on the Earth while birds and insects can fly. It's because birds and insects have wings. They flap them and generate an upward force. If that force exceeds the gravitational force, they go up. Oceans can't do this because oceans don't have wings. Individual water molecules can't evaporate and go up into the sky because they are so tiny. But when they get up to where it is colder and accumulate into clouds, they eventually condense back into liquid water. And guess what happens? They fall back down.
Oh.
Rain. Hopefully you are familiar with rain. As for planes and other macroscopic objects, again, they go up only when a force is applied. When you throw a ball up into the sky, the
here we go.
ball by your arm is greater than the gravitational force, but as soon as it leaves your hand, no more force is being applied, and only the gravitational force
Alright,
is acting on
let's
it.
see.
So that velocity gets smaller and smaller, hits zero.
What am I doing? I am...
faster until it hits the ground. Gravity. Gravity exists, period. Saying it is just a theory does nothing but display that you have no idea what a theory is. Stop repeating what you hear on Flat Earth videos and catch up to the 17th century.
Bring in...
Number 2. Flat Earthers all say, I shouldn't see this thing, but I do, so the Earth is flat. Then to justify this claim, you all say the same thing, typically with no context whatsoever. 8 inches per mile squared. None of you have any idea what this means. You can't derive it. You can't calculate anything with it. You can't make a prediction with it.
Let's see.
You can't tell me anything about this value at all. When I point this out to you, you get very angry, and instead of answering simple questions, you just link me to a bunch
Got a
of
nebulous!
Well, I'm sorry, friends. Those
So there we go.
incorrect math, or lying, or both, and they are counting on the fact that you won't do any math at all to check up on them. 8 inches per mile squared is not a valid way to measure Earth's curvature. If you understood math, you would immediately see that this squared on miles is totally out of place.
There we go.
That's because this is a parabolic approximation. This is for doing calculations with a parabola. It's possible that you remember this trick from middle school algebra, but I wouldn't be surprised if you don't. As you can see, the Earth is not shaped like this. So where does it come from, and why do people use it? It comes from the Flat Earth Bible, Zetetic Astronomy, and Flat Earth priests use it because they know it's not accurate. It gives them incorrect values that they can use to claim that they shouldn't be able to see something when in fact they totally should. There are dozens of videos on
Alright,
YouTube
here we go.
demonstrating this, several of which reference the actual formula that actually describes Earth's curvature, which as you can see requires trigonometry. Stop blindly
Here we
repeating
go.
what you hear on Flat Earth videos and learn
What's
math
this?
so that you can do these calculations for
Oh, it's the turd!
Most homeowners have it.
No, literally, it's
in
a
their house. It's that
rainbow turd.
bad window. It's drafty, or maybe it sticks or leaks. Bottom line, you'd love to
All
replace
right,
it, but the
add.
company is coming out for
Alright,
Number 3. All flat earthers
so,
say the same two
okay,
things about
we
water.
are
The first is water doesn't
going
flow.
to,
And the
as you
second
can
is
see,
water finds its
we've made quite a bit of progress over here.
is completely meaningless. So the fact that you all say that exact thing verbatim is just one of the many demonstrations that you all blindly repeat what you hear without giving it a moment's thought. As for the first phrase, stating that water doesn't curve is at least a coherent thought. However, it is dead wrong. Put a drop of water on a piece of wax paper or a leaf. What does it look like? A freaking sphere. Isn't that something? In your haste to mindlessly parrot what you heard from Flat Earth priests about water, you forgot to look at water. Water curves, my friends. Look at this curved meniscus. Look at these waves. Water curves all the time. Water is not magic. It is subject to influence by external forces.
We are going to put that up here, even though it's my nerd stuff.
That's the electromagnetic force. Water molecules.
These are old scripts I need to look through
In this context, we refer to
from way back in the day.
That's why water has a very high surface tension, and that's why a water droplet remains spherical, so that it can maximize the number of hydrogen bonds that are formed and keep the system at the lowest energy possible. So clearly and indisputably, water curves. In this example, it is due to the electromagnetic force. It is therefore quite easy to understand that it can curve under the influence of any force, including gravity. The oceans conform to the curvature of the Earth just like the land does, and for the same reason. This is why saying that water finds its own level is absolutely meaningless. You think that level means flat, as though on the globe model, water should just magically project into space at some arbitrary angle. In fact, level just means as close to the center of the Earth as possible. What's most hilarious is that even in the tool called the level, which only works because gravity exists, there is a curved bubble right in there. If the bubble is curved, what is the liquid, which is mostly water, doing around that bubble? It curves. It is absolutely astonishing how the things you repeat from Flat Earth videos are incompatible with even the most trivial everyday observations. You should acknowledge that. Number 4.
We got a couple keyboards.
How Earth's atmosphere can exist next to the vacuum of space. This one is rather amusing because what's happening is that since you have no science education, your only context for the word vacuum is a vacuum cleaner. And again, because you have no science education, none of you understand how a vacuum cleaner works, which is a problem because you seem to think that outer space is a vacuum cleaner. Let's take a moment and clear this up. A vacuum is any region where there is no stuff.
Okay, we'll put that there for now.
Like air.
Okay.
In space, there is no stuff, or at least very, very close to no stuff. Space is essentially empty. That's a vacuum. It is not a thing that sucks. Vacuums don't suck. Everyone say it with me together. Vacuums don't suck. Earth's
No, they don't.
displays a gradient.
They blow.
Exists. There's a lot of atmosphere.
Alright, so
and then as you rise, because fewer and fewer molecules will have enough kinetic energy to go.
we're gonna go ahead.
Thinner and thinner and thinner until there's none left. Then you're in space. It's that simple. Number 5.
We're gonna go ahead and move this stuff over,
Challenges is to request that we demonstrate
and then
that
move
water can
this
a ball spinning at
over
1
here,
hour. The implication is that water and everything
and then
else
we'll
is
sweep up and mop over here.
thrown from a merry-go-round. Well, it's very cute that
Did she ever answer?
4 digits in them, but in actuality, the Earth spins once per
Yes,
day.
she did.
One time in 24 hours. Get on a merry-go-round and have someone push you one time around over 24 hours. Not a very thrilling ride, is it? The issue is that the Earth is really, really big. So if instead of using rotational velocity to describe a rotating body, like a normal person, you try to use linear tangential velocity, you're gonna get a pretty big number. But to be honest, it's still not really that big. Planes go more than half that speed, and sitting on a plane at cruising altitude with no turbulence is just like sitting on a chair on the ground. Flat Earth priests cite these big velocities associated with the Earth and the solar system purely for shock value, and you're falling for it. Stop doing that. Furthermore, this little water doesn't stick to a ball challenge is the strawiest straw man that was ever made of straw. The Earth is huge. It generates an enormous gravitational field. That's why everything sticks to it. A ball is very tiny. It does not generate an enormous gravitational field, so things don't stick to it. Also, unless you're doing this in space, the ball must be very close to the Earth, which, as we just said, generates an enormous gravitational field. So when water drips off the ball onto the ground, your desired demonstration of gravity fails because gravity exists. Stop asking for ridiculous and impossible demonstrations like having to build an Earth-sized object to show you how water sticks to something as big as the Earth. Number 6.
Okay.
Lots of people say that moonlight is cold. This is astonishing for a number of reasons. The first is that it is not related to any claim you could possibly be making in order to argue for a flat Earth. But the second and much more important detail is that it is the perfect demonstration of the fact that you have no clue how science works. Some flat Earth priest measured the temperature under the moonlight and then again under something providing shade. Wow, moonlight makes it colder. But does it? Shouldn't you add some element of control to your experiment? What's a control, you ask? Fair question. You see, your measurement isn't evidence of anything. You now have to repeat the experiment when there is no moonlight to make sure that the moonlight was indeed the cause of the discrepancy in temperature. This is something you should have learned in middle school, but don't worry, I'll finish the experiment for you. Take the measurements again on a night with a new moon so that there is no moonlight. Look at that. You'll get the same result. So the moonlight absolutely wasn't the reason for the discrepancy in temperature.
And if we need
What was the reason?
printer
Well,
cord,
the thing that is
I think there's printer cord in one of these two crates right here.
in heat that is emanating from the Earth while it faces away from the sun. So it's closed.
So
I'll link to at least one empirical demonstration of this fact in the description below.
I'm gonna, here in a minute, I'm gonna move this over to where you're at. I'm gonna sweep and mop over here.
Repeating what you hear on Flat Earth videos.
And then we have this whole big area. And then I can start cleaning this area, which is going to have my set obviously.
Are you playing as?
Do it.
7. Many of you say some
Listening to music while doing it?
nonsense about water flowing
And I'm
down
listening to
around the globe while some rivers
Dr.
flow
Dave
uphill.
Explains.
This one is so stupid that I genuinely can't believe any human could fall for it.
Rivers can't flow
Look at a
uphill.
globe and say that a river flows this way and that this is somehow uphill because
Conspiracy theorists, he's debunking them. And they say, rivers can't flow uphill.
Well, how about if I turn this a little bit? What do you know? Now it's down. Listen up. There is no up and down in space. This is not up. This is not down.
You are
To
streaming,
believe
right?
so would be
Yeah.
as dumb as thinking that on Earth, whichever way you happen to be facing is north. No one on Earth is upside down or on their side. Up on Earth is away from the surface.
Okay, you want me to grab that for you
where
then?
are on the Earth. Rivers flow from higher elevation to lower elevation, which is a
Actually,
measure
that's a
of
printer
how
cable
far away
right there.
you are from the surface of the Earth. This has nothing to do with flowing in any particular direction along the surface. This is also why people who
Is this for a walker of yours?
confused about why elevation
No,
levels
that's
change
for-
between various
what?
sea level locations
It
around
might
the world.
actually be an add-on to it if I wanted to do the wheels
This is
instead of
sea
that.
level. This is sea level. This is above sea level. This is above sea level. That's what elevation means. Learn the definitions of words before you try to use them in a sentence.
You just texted me like just now. I'm out in the garage for a second.
Dumbfounded by the idea that the Earth is
You don't need to freak out, Grace.
winter than in summer. As I
Hi.
said before,
Okay.
winter up north is summer down south, and vice
Did
versa.
you hear that,
So your
guys?
confusion is
Oh, yeah.
northern hemisphere narcissism, but it is also one of complete.
This is my senior, one of my senior photos.
Look at this portion. It hits the Earth straight on.
Here, we're
Look at this
gonna-
portion. Because of the curvature of the Earth, the light hits
We're gonna
the
put that
surface
on my
of the
set
Earth and
somewhere.
are distributed around a greater area. Same amount
I'm
of
not
temperature,
egotistical at all.
lower average temperature.
Oh.
This is absolutely trivial to understand. It's why magnifying glasses can focus light to a point
Okay.
and set things on fire. It's how heat works. Flat Earth priests know this. They just pretend to be confused about things that they know their viewers won't check up on. Number 9. Many flat earthers refer to the body of scientific knowledge as scientism. This is meant to be derogatory, implying that science is a religion. I'm very sorry, but saying this just demonstrates that you know nothing about science and probably didn't pass a single science class in high school. Scientists are not told what to believe. They are
We have
shown
plenty of power cords like that.
Even in high school
But
physics,
maybe
scientists
this one might be.
ramps and balls
This looks like
and
it's
pendulums
fit.
and rulers and timers to derive Newton's laws
Oh,
and many
another-
pillars of science. They
We got a
personally
third
do
keyboard,
what has
guys.
already been done by others in order to derive the knowledge that we already know and prove its validity to themselves. This continues through college and then on into graduate school, where students do their own research and figure out
She grabbed
things
that
no one else
printer.
has done yet. So using the word scientism serves to disqualify you from adult conversation regarding science. In actuality, it is quite clear why you adopt this viewpoint, because you just accept whatever you hear if it's what you want to believe. This is why your beliefs are baseless. Since you are incapable
Guys.
of doing anything other than repeating what you are told, you assume that others are doing the same thing, but they are not. Those that
I
are
have
sciences understand how things
something
work.
to tell you guys,
Information to
and
technology, such as computers
I don't
and the
know
internet.
how you'll handle this,
Use
but
to claim that the science that produced them isn't real.
I can't handle you.
Irony so thick that you could cut it with a knife. And to wrap things up, number 10, the pièce de résistance, the claim that we have all been indoctrinated, that we have been brainwashed by schools, by the government, by NASA, by Freemasons, by Hollywood.
Oh, you missed it.
you pick. Well, as I have demonstrated in this
Hold on, I gotta tell you this.
same exact
I'm gonna make a clip out of it.
word for word, like
But I
you
found this
said
on the
of
ground, and I go,
Flat Earth fraternity. So it's a rather silly
guys,
accusation to be throwing around.
I have something
The
to
fact
tell you.
that you all say
I
the
don't
same
know
thing
how to say
is
it.
not surprising in the
React
slightest.
to it.
What do you do
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
brainwash someone? You tell them they have already been brainwashed.
Nothing.
That's what flat earth priests do. They tell you that you've been brainwashed so that you are nice and receptive to the brainwashing. They tell you that everything you know is a
All
lie
right.
so that they can lie to you. It's human psychology 101. Why do they do this?
All right.
Status. It's a way for con men to capitalize
Where-
on the vulnerable few who exhibit
Oh, where
of ignorance and
Did I
susceptibility.
put
It's a cult. You're part of a cult.
the? Oh, there it is. The broom.
So get angry, call me a shill, call me whatever you want.
All right, here we go. We're sweeping up. Sweeping up. I don't do this enough at work, apparently.
That you didn't even watch any of it.
I have to do it at home, too.
Avoid addressing anything I said and just vomit a bunch of other different Flat Earth talking points. But maybe a portion of you will have the courage to accept that you've fallen for a hoax. It's not that big a deal. Many of us have fallen for hoaxes or been manipulated at one time or another, myself included. Just admit it to yourself and walk away. And when you're ready to learn,
We got it, guys. We got it. It is particularly messy over here. I think, if I remember correctly, my niece and nephew's baby daddy spilled oil in here. If I remember correctly. Motor oil, specifically. But that I don't remember.
Hey everyone,
here we go.
It's been almost exactly 1 year since I published my innocuous little Flat Earth debunk as part of my astronomy series. That was the one that the Globe Busters foolishly engaged with, and their idiotic insult-filled commentary prompted me to make this little gem that they never recovered from. Then, based on the ridiculous comments I received on that video, I made one more to mock the moronic things that all Flat Earthers say verbatim, or at least they did until that video made
There we go.
And then I put the whole thing down for a while. It was never my intention to make that kind of content, but it was quite satisfying, and I got 10 times the views of my normal content, which was a plus, but I had to move on. Lest I be tempted to rebrand myself from a channel with
Alright, here we go.
to one devoted purely to debunking con men. However, it's been a year, I've made so many tutorials since then, so why not jump back in the muck for a second? This time I'd like to offer some challenges to you remaining few that are desperately clinging to this dying fad to derive some semblance of self-worth. Let's call them 10 challenges for Flat Earthers. These will be some basic things anyone could do to test the validity of the Flat Earth hypothesis. These are so mind-numbingly obvious that the fact that you don't
Those are hair ties.
indicator of your complete lack of intellectual integrity. Let's get started and you'll see what I mean. Number 1. Here's the Flat Earth map that you all seem to agree upon. Anyone with half a brain can immediately tell that this does not correlate with reality, but for those with an even smaller fraction, let's do a few things to prove
You keep that.
For example, make a scale. You know, a scale? It's that thing on maps that tells you how far
Oscar Mayer.
each other. Look at this map. There's a scale. You can pick 2 cities and determine the approximate distance between them. Then you can drive your car from one to
you
another
keep that?
and verify that it is the correct distance. Now back to your little map. Where's the scale here? Why do you never include one? Is it because it's impossible? Yes, that is exactly why. And if you disagree, here's your challenge. Pick some distance on this map. A centimeter, an inch, whatever. Tell me the distance it corresponds to in reality. Then pick some cities and use your scale to estimate the distances between them. Pick 2 on the same continent. Pick 2 on different continents. Use it to tell me how wide this inappropriately enormous ocean is. Use it to tell me literally anything about the distances between literally anything. When you can't do it and your numbers do not correlate with reality in the slightest, recall that this map does it just fine, and then admit that your map is stupid. Your complete inability to make any kind of completely legitimate map single-handedly proves the Earth isn't flat. But let's continue just for fun. Number 2,
I can make it work with
the
this.
existence of Antarctica poses a huge problem for you. When it is summer in the northern hemisphere, you love to pretend that the sun moves inwards to this tropic, making the days longer here and shorter in the southern hemisphere. And then when it's winter in the north, you like to put the sun at the other tropic, which you think gives you the shorter days up north that you want, but in the south, it's total chaos. You have the sun tracing this enormous trajectory.
That's been swept up now. Now we can mop up.
When in reality, there are long periods
Mop up. Mop up.
Since your dinky little sun can never illuminate this entire fantasy ice wall at once, this completely obliterates your model, which is why you resort to conspiracy. You simply deny that this midnight sun ever occurs, while claiming that no one can go to
Well, I should have
Antarctica to
gotten
verify it for themselves.
fresher water than what I had to.
NASA Jew penguins will kill you. Well, apart from all the commercial
I said I should have gotten fresher water than what I have here. But that's fine.
so you totally could go see it for yourself. But you don't even have to go all the way to Antarctica. Just go to the tip of South
I'm
America.
pretty sure
like this
some of
one,
this is
where you
also
live.
I said I'm pretty sure some of this is also motor oil that got spilled and never cleaned up.
December, sunrise is earlier than 5 a.m. and sunset is later than 10 p.m. Now take your little model for the
Can't blame my parents for that one.
Then try and make the night and day portions match up with these sunrise and sunset times. Demonstrate the light from the sun illuminating this location for more than 70% of its trajectory. And as you do that, make sure that it does not illuminate Point Barrow, Alaska whatsoever during its entire trajectory, as that town has endless night during this time of the year. That's right, lots of sun over here, and
So,
zero sun over here. Good luck. If you decide to even try,
the next goal
light patterns become so nonsensical
will be,
that not even the most
because that's pretty organized. I can probably get rid of the ladder and the stuff on top of it. Oh, by the way,
as I pointed out that you can't almost a year ago, then seriously consider
it
giving up forever.
goes with the
Number 3, here's an idea. What if you were to actually make a prediction with your model? Like
and all that stuff is there by the door.
you know, those things
That's what
you
you've
have
been
to do
walking
in
over.
science for it to be science. Any celestial object.
But yeah, what we're going to be doing is working over here now. My sets for like the podcast and well, I'm also in development of another podcast, but my podcasts, you know, anything else I do, it's going to be over here in this area. So I gotta make sure I get that taken care of.
Means the model used to make the prediction has been undeniably verified, and it's done every single time.
And so we'll clean up that area. Well, before we do that, we're going to be removing this bookcase and this bookcase back to where they are, which is facing the camera. When we go to clean up that area, we'll just turn the camera towards that area. And then we'll rearrange everything based on that.
You can fudge the numbers, and they're always over water, so you can lie about refractive effects to people who have no idea how refraction works. So try this one on for size. Show me a picture of something over land that's 1,000 miles away. May I suggest the middle of the country where there's not much in the way? It's a straight shot after all, so what's the problem? Use a telescope. Pull Las Vegas into focus from Dallas, Texas. Isn't that where you have your little meeting? Maybe you should try.
And then maybe at some point I'll when I start building sets, because I now have some room in the garage. When I start building sets, I can start streaming that stuff when I want to too.
You take a boat that's far away, pull it back into focus, and then marvel at your
What
own
is this?
brilliance figuring out how to operate a camera.
It's an old shower curtain.
Oh, that is our old curtain.
Keep her throat.
I'll get rid of it because it's already standing here.
How will it disappear?
Okay.
Bottom up, just like everything else. I wonder why you've never put that on YouTube. Number 6. The most hilarious thing about
Ethernet cord. I'm gonna just stick in my cord crates.
Make absolutely no sense in your model. Like a sunset.
How do you do that?
Would simply
When I was trying to fix my Fitbit.
until it fades away. It absolutely would not retain the same angular size and set below the horizon. It stays the same
Hey, I
size.
found the magic eraser I was trying to find the other day.
It sets below the horizon because the Earth is a sphere that is turning. Even a toddler can understand this. It's so blatantly obvious that you have to resort to your typical ad hoc antics, talking about refractive effects that defy all logic and somehow magically apply to the sun but nothing
Can't
else.
do that.
Or even better, some of you talk about a dome with the sun on the other side that produces some bizarre optical
I have
effect.
this really locked in
From the sheer
here.
absurdity of this magical dome that no one has ever seen or touched,
I have it really locked in.
problems for you, because you also claim that the sun and moon perform other kinds of magic to push the air and water around, to get tides and storms and what have you. That would require things inside the dome.
Okay.
So which is it? Is the sun outside of the
It
magical
is.
non-existent dome?
This is
so you
clearly
can pretend to get the sunset?
drywall of some kind, but it's not for that. Because that lid is there.
Or if you bail on the dome,
What's
and say
this?
it's just water, how do all those water molecules molecules
No, the color's right there.
1% of the atmosphere.
It's right there. I just said.
Oh, that's the color for that hole?
Yeah.
Than actual liquid
I
water.
know.
I wonder if it's for like a patch they made over there. Because remember they're gonna patch up some of the drywall in the laundry room.
Does nothing else but the sun behave that way? Show me a projectile or a plane going below the horizon as it recedes. Or show me this dome and explain the
Speaking
phenomenon.
of which, at some point I need to get.
Do something.
I need to grab the
Do
mold killing paint
making idiotic videos
and paint over here.
movie soundtracks.
Because behind that wooden board,
Level science.
is mold, so I need to
What the
grab
hell is a lunar eclipse to you? Seriously, explain anything about a lunar eclipse. The things you say about solar eclipses are stupid enough, but at least you say something.
Yeah.
A lunar eclipse happens when the Earth gets between the sun and the moon. That's right, in between. These two objects are not perpetually above a flat plane, and you know it, which is why you're totally silent on lunar eclipses. And if you're going to propose that some other object besides the Earth is what obscures the moon, good
I
luck
know.
trying to
It's
demonstrate
cool
its
that
existence.
is. Well, the camping stuff's over there. Kind of,
The sun and moon
yeah,
being
kind of
so
all over the
close to
place.
the Earth, what is stopping you from strapping a camera to a
Between the
balloon
pink and the
sticking
yellow
up there?
crates is our
Go
poop
get up close and personal
floaty.
with either of these objects and take some pictures. If you get crafty with some robotics, which is a stretch given your complete lack of education, you could even scoop up a little sample. Maybe the moon is made of cheese after all. Reach for the sky, fellas.
There we go.
Number 9. Take some flights, like any direct flight in the southern hemisphere. Shouldn't that be impossible? Better yet,
That's
fly
what's been in
between
here.
two
That's
cities in different ways. The
that was
shortest way on the
Terry's
road
back
and
when
the
she
shortest
was
way on
with
the flight. Which one do you think will be faster? I'm just joking. I know that none of you will ever be employed in
Oh, so she doesn't.
You're on a regular plane,
Which I'll take it, but
east or west,
I don't have any room right now for it.
leaning slightly to one side, as you seem to believe they all must be.
I don't have a plan for anything Star Wars related
If humanity
or
is
movie
fortunate
related,
enough
for that
that you
matter.
actually procreated, send your kid up to the cockpit to meet the pilot and snap a pic of the wheel. What do you know? Straight as an arrow.
Okay.
And number 10. Do anything
Yeah, that's empty.
legitimately scientific.
So we can use it for whatever.
Publish
He said we can use it for whatever.
about your model in anything reputable
Okay.
anywhere. Invent any technology based on your model. Do
Yes.
anything at all that can
Now I'll move this chair over here.
science. Here's a hint. You may have to study some real science to do it, but then of course you would immediately learn that the Earth isn't flat, so it probably won't be of much use.
I'm going to be using one of these
So
points
that's
for.
it for the 10 challenges. I
So I'm going to be using one of those.
because all of you will immediately
point.
recognize the futility and resort
gotten
to some names in the comments section. You flat Earth priests with your waste of space channels know full well that
All right.
anything even remotely empirical
That is
demonizes your
good
host,
for
which is
now.
why you stick to shouting conspiracy and very little else. And you handful of mindless
Okay.
followers hanging on to the only thing that makes you feel special, maybe 2020 is the year you
For now,
finally get a clue and
move
change your lives.
this
There's
over.
a spherical world out there, a world filled with people who won't instantly mock you or be ashamed to know you. There are so many opportunities to actually be a person
Oh, hey.
of even minor consequence. I know I've been hard on you, but I really am rooting for you folks. All you
Yeah.
have to do is disengage from these charlatans that lie for a living. Save that $10 super chat and buy yourself some good
Okay, here we go.
Even put it in a college fund so you can go to school and learn something useful. The choice is yours. Good luck. Good night.
Sadly, windshield chips can turn into windshield cracks. But at least you can go to SafeLight.com.
I'm going to go ahead and move my train stuff over here for now.
Come to you for free. Don't wait. Go to SafeLight.com and
What I'm thinking about, although
So you may remember
it doesn't look like there's.
I offered to flat earthers a couple of months ago, and it's been very amusing watching them run around. like chickens with their
Yeah.
heads cut off, making
But I don't know why there's so few, because they all hook in like that.
without
And it's just this, and then one, and then the two remote things.
logical fallacies and shouting them at random sure
I don't
seems
know
like
why
fun.
it's just got
It's not
one that
something
connects
or a model
two of them
that shows
together.
seasons of night and day, or a legitimate response to anything whatsoever. So at this point, I think it's safe to say
So there you go. You can have that.
Of course,
and
there
look
was
at
no
it.
need to follow up
But what I
after
was thinking
the
is,
and I did not intend to, but
because
now
I'm having an issue where some of this stuff is way too dark,
with no access
Put it in the
to
back.
Studio,
putting it in the
I
back
wanted to make
and
my
using it
original
as
content.
backlights.
So, you lucky
Because what I
little
initially was
people.
thinking was having an
Remember,
LED
here's
strip
what's gonna happen
behind
now.
here.
Since my 10 challenges made your heads explode, and none of you have the mental capacity to make a map or a model, even at a
So-
middle school level, I figured I would dumb it down for you even more. It's very easy to think of things that
Alright.
single-handedly obliterate the flat Earth delusion, like, say, the existence of gravity. But you are so thoroughly science illiterate that you just shout, gravity doesn't exist, and pretend that this is So instead, let's try
I do love the idea of just shouting,
at all. There is
"Gravity
no
doesn't
there's no
exist!"
prerequisite information. You just have to listen, acknowledge that the
That's
logic
what
is
flat
airtight,
earthers do,
and cry
because
yourself to sleep.
if the Earth is flat,
Here comes one now.
there's no way it can have
What is
gravity,
this object?
because gravity is
We
the
have
mass
seen the moon. We've seen it many
of,
times.
of
Look at all of these
large
pictures of
objects
the
such
moon.
as the Earth
What do they
compared
have
to the
in
moon.
common? They all
So you
show
can't have
the
that, because
same
it can't be the density and
we
mass.
all see the same
So
face
you
as
just
the
have
moon.
to
It
dismiss
doesn't change
gravity
during the
outright.
night, and it doesn't change throughout the night. There is no denying this. You can't shout CGI. You can't cry
Okay.
conspiracy. It's the moon. We can all see it with our own eyeballs. It's there, and it always looks like this. Now let's place the moon above a flat disk and let it float around in the little magic circles you like to imagine. If the Earth was flat, would we all
Okay.
see the same face of the moon? Here is someone standing in one spot looking at the moon. They see this. Here is someone standing in another spot looking at the same moon. They see
Oh, they're
this.
in
And this person. And this person. You get the idea. So is this possible? No. Because that's not how
You mean the
objects
little plastic things?
people on the
Not quite
opposite
honest,
sides
inside
of
the
an
yellow
object
paper.
can't see
Oh.
the same face of the object.
Oh,
Go
so
get
that
two of your little buddies and
that
have
won't
them
work
stand on
then.
opposite
Shit.
sides of you. Can they both see the front of your face at once? No. A spherical moon over a flat Earth is not consistent with reality
That sucks.
at all. So, is it two-dimensional with the same face on both sides? Then anyone but these two people would see a different shape. So no. Is it pointing down like a spotlight? Then it would change shape as it passes
Alright.
by and only appear circular when directly overhead.
Yeah, at some point I need to
So
get
no.
LED strips.
Is there any
Not
way
that
we can
expensive.
make this work on a flat Earth? No, there is
Alright.
not. So how, pray tell?
So
all
I'm going to
see the
have
face of the moon? Because
this out
is
here
the
because
sun
that
and the
can go
moon
with
is around
my,
the Earth. It is
you know, with
tidally
sets and
locked
so
with the
forth.
Earth, with one face always pointing towards the Earth. That's why everyone sees the same face of the moon, and that's the
Okay.
only way that everyone can see the same face of the moon. And guess what? The direction the moon is pointing even correlates with the observer's latitude. Isn't that something? Whether at the North Pole, South Pole, or anywhere in between, the orientation of the face of the moon that we all see
Alright,
will reveal the latitude on the spherical Earth. Pretty neat, huh? Maybe one day you'll save up enough allowance that you can leave your mom's basement and see the moon from another part of
God
the world.
damn.
So, my precious little learners,
He's-
do you now
he's-
see how pathetically fragile the flat
He's
Earth is?
debunking
Of all
flat
the
Earth
hundreds
people.
of individual
And he
isolated
goes,
phenomena that ripple
maybe
the
one of these
shapes
days
made of
you'll be
paper
able
mache,
to
don't
get a real
require
job and move out of your mom's
scientific
basement
knowledge.
to
They just require that you can think with your brain for 5
you
seconds.
go get out in the
For
world.
today's conclusive proof, we didn't have to talk about physics or astronomy or space travel. We didn't have to do any math. There were no equations for you to misunderstand or numbers for you to lie about. We just did a little bit of critical thinking. So now you can see how people figured out that the Earth is round thousands of years ago before science even existed, because they weren't stupid. They had access to basic logic and were able to comprehend simple proofs like this one, of which there are dozens. Just like you, they didn't know anything about gravity or forces or cosmology. And just like you, they had no idea what the moon is, or what the sun is, or what the stars are. And they figured it out all the same, because they didn't have to know what these objects are. They just had functional brains and a basic capacity for spatial reasoning. So before you go and spew some emoji-laden nonsense in the comment section, take a moment to reflect and admit to yourself that what we went over here today is irrefutable. There is no way around it. Your usual whinings of conspiracy and CGI have no place here. There is no science for you to blatantly deny. It's just basic logic that even a toddler could understand. If you can't wrap your head around this, there truly is no hope for you. So take a deep breath, let the facts in, and push the delusion out. Have a nice day.
You might not know that auto owners is local, personal, and affordable.
Hey everyone, so there's been a resurgence of interest in my channel among flat earthers lately. First, there's this intellectual powerhouse.
And welcome back to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes.
Who tried to debunk my 10 things that all flat earthers say by repeating the 10 things that all flat earthers say. Great work, Slick. Then, the Globe Busters, no doubt still upset about my video that exposed their unparalleled stupidity to millions of people, which continues to get between 10 and 20,000 views per day, are publishing feature-length responses made by some nitwit to my 10 challenges, which literally do not respond to the challenges. I ask for a map, 90 minutes later, I kid you not, no map. So, with the dwindling Flat Earth cult now a pathetic parody of itself, I'm just going to make a few more videos demonstrating how easy it is to destroy Flat Earth without using any science. Last time we looked at the moon, so today, let's look at the stars. Flat Earthers love to complain about how dumb it is to look up at the sky to determine the shape of the Earth, but that's only because doing so specifically proves that it's a sphere, and it's one of the ways we figured out that it's a sphere thousands of years ago. For example, if you're at a northerly latitude facing northwards and you watch the stars for a while, you will notice that they appear to rotate counterclockwise around a point in the sky. This point is roughly aligned with the star Polaris, which we call the North Star. If you were to then travel south for a while, you would see that certain stars are no longer viewable, and at the equator, all the stars move directly east to west through the sky. Then, heading towards the southerly latitudes and facing south, you will see a whole new batch of stars you couldn't see in the north, and they will again be rotating around a point in the sky, though this time clockwise instead of counterclockwise. So, how do we make sense of these observations? Do they work on a flat Earth? Not even a little bit. That the stars are doing different things for different people just because they are standing closer or further from the center of a disk is total nonsense.
Let's see.
Flat Earthers avoid this subject altogether unless they have the balls to invent idiotic sorcery like personal domes and other fantasies that are not even worth deconstructing. Furthermore, why can't people towards the outer edge see the same stars as people towards the center? And vice versa. What's blocking the light? Again, no explanation. Now, what would happen on a sphere that is turning? Standing up north, whichever point in the sky is aligned with the rotational axis would appear not to move, and everything else would rotate around it, just like we see. Standing in the south, same thing, but the opposite direction from their perspective. Also, any star that would require a line of sight that cuts through the Earth is not visible because we can't see through the Earth. That's why Southerners can't see Polaris and Northerners can't see the Southern Cross. But that's not all. Literally all observations of the sky from the Southern Hemisphere are utterly inexplicable on the flat Earth. Consider people standing towards the southern tips of South America, Africa, and Australia. They all can see the Southern Cross when they look south, and two of them at a time can even see it simultaneously, depending on the time of night. Does that make any sense with these folks all looking in completely different directions? None whatsoever. Come to think of it, what does south even mean on a flat Earth? It's totally nonsensical. But again, on a sphere, south actually means something, and all these people are looking in the same direction, towards the south celestial pole, so they can all see the same sky. No problem. Now, most flat earthers have heard all of this before, and instead of admitting to themselves that the logic is airtight, they just ignore all of it and bring up unrelated, objectively incorrect.
I'm going to be okay with that for now. I probably can move it a little bit closer. I don't want to move it too close because I want to have some room to maneuver.
ecliptic are obscured half the year because they're
But
on the other side of the sun, and we can't see
by moving it a little bit closer, I can get rid of
the sun is.
this gap
These are
right
the
here.
zodiac constellations,
And
the
it
west of
also
astrology.
takes
So it's nothing
these
that you're not familiar
out
with.
of the
So is
range
the
of the camera
The
for
stars that can be viewed in a direction
this,
perpendicular to the ecliptic
for my
are
set
seen throughout,
area.
and there's no logical
So then I
basis
don't
for
have to
thinking
worry
that it
about
wouldn't be.
moving this
They're
constantly back and forth.
Earth's orbital radius is negligible in comparison. But because of Earth's orbit,
So
they do shift their positions slightly throughout the year. It's called stellar parallax. I would link to my tutorial that explains what that is, but I know learning is not.
And then as far as over here,
Here it is anyway.
I can use my
Feeling bold.
folding wall thing that I have to cover up this little section.
To demonstrate that the Earth is a sphere. And once again, that's how the ancients figured out that the Earth is a sphere, without having a clue about anything else. They thought astrology was true, and that demons are real, and yet they got this one down. If you can't manage that, you're allergic to thinking, and there's no point in talking to you. To everyone else, see you next time.
Now you can be
Okay.
and file for free. Just upload your docs. Answer a few questions.
I'll have to end up
Get your maximum refund.
organizing down there again,
Roughly 37% of filers
but
qualify. Simple 1040 returns only. Click for eligibility.
that's fine.
Save your groceries.
And I can actually put this between. Okay. Have fun. I'll probably only be streaming for a little bit longer. Yeah, I know.
Those objects were
So.
the moon and the stars. So for this one, let's get even simpler and talk about man-made objects in the sky. That's right, airplanes. Continuing with the theme of requiring precisely zero science to prove that flat Earth is the dumbest hoax on the entire internet, one thing that anyone can do to prove that the Earth is a sphere is to look at commercial airline flights.
Yeah, you can kind of see things now. Of where I'm going to be working.
So they just use this. Embarrassingly for them, this is actually an azimuthal equidistant projection of the globe. That's right, the flat Earth map is a map of the globe, taken from the perspective of looking down at the North Pole and flattening out its surface into a plane so that a three-dimensional surface can be shown in 2 dimensions. That's why everything
Alright,
is
now I will go ahead
scale.
and throw this back up.
Priests know what this is, and they know it doesn't work, but they're dumb and lazy and can't come up with anything better, so they stick with this and simply deflect anytime these facts are brought up. Now, the further away from the center you go, the more significant the distortion. So problems
now we're up here.
That's where the flights come in. Here's South America. Here's Australia. Pretty far away, huh? If this map was taken to be precisely to scale, which it would be if the Earth was
I don't like how
as far away as 2 places can get.
wobbly it is.
Fly between Santiago and Sydney. If the Earth was flat, which way would we go? Well, the straight line path would go up across all of South America, all of North America, over Alaska, and then continuing all the way until we get to Sydney. So, do any airlines actually fly between these cities? Yes, they do. This airline flies between Santiago and Sydney 4 times a week. But which way do they go? Do they follow this straight line? Nope. They do the whole thing over the Pacific Ocean. Here's how that trip looks on a globe. It takes 14 hours and 15 minutes going west and 12 hours and 25 minutes going east. On a flat Earth, that route would look like this, an absurdly long and totally unnecessary arc. For comparison, how long does it take to fly between New York City and London? It's about 7 hours going east and about 8 hours going west. Now, you tell me, does it make sense that a plane would travel this enormous arc in less than twice the time that it would take to travel this teeny tiny one? Not even a little bit. First of all, the fact that these are arcs at all is totally nonsensical. Planes don't constantly turn slightly left or right. They lock into a flight path and go straight. Flat earthers like to whine about how planes don't constantly dip down to match the curvature of the Earth, but that's because they have no clue how planes work, since they maintain constant altitude, and altitude conforms to the curvature of the Earth.
Okay.
So how do flat earthers deal with this information?
Okay.
Well, for the longest time, they simply denied that these southern hemisphere flights exist at all. The flights are a nail in the coffin for flat earth, so they would just lie and say there aren't any. But since anyone can find out that they definitely do exist in about 10 seconds of Googling, some of them have had to start coughing up explanations. The most popular of these is to pretend that the wind is responsible. Again, this is because flat earthers are lazy. Small differences in flight times east versus
let's go ahead.
planes fly with or against
Work on this. I will
just take this concept and bring it to
move my
conclusion. They will evoke
Mario table to the back of
a hurricane and pretend that the plane is somehow traveling twice as fast as usual without anyone noticing. There are several problems here. First of all, this boost from the imaginary wind still isn't anywhere near enough. This arc
Right, that's up there.
The plane would have to be going several
I'll go ahead and put
miles per hour.
this on top of the Mario table.
Second, this flight goes
I'll
both
put
directions, east and west.
this on top of that.
Which way the plane is going. Most days, there are planes going opposite directions simultaneously. Does each of them have a little personal tornado like Wizard of Oz? Flat earthers have suggested things as stupid as personal domes, such that everyone gets their own set of stars. So
Over here for
the
now.
dumbest thing they've ever said. But as you can see, there's no way around this. These flights exist. They are not traveling this insane distance because this is a projection of the globe without a consistent scale. The problem with the projection map they push as reality is that as we go towards the South Pole on a globe, the latitude lines are clearly getting shorter and shorter. On this flat representation,
got
they
more
are represented as longer
of
and
these
so distances get more and more
tub
distant the further outwards you go.
lids.
That's why pretending this is a real
One
map is stupid,
handling
and that's why flat earth priests pretend the southern hemisphere doesn't exist. It ruins everything for them. As for their whining that flights don't travel over Antarctica, well, there's no reason for them to do that. The shortest path, which we call a Great Circle, for any common route doesn't pass directly over Antarctica. Some get pretty close, like Johannesburg to
There we go.
If it were to be flown, Johannesburg to Christchurch would nick the edge of Antarctica, but this isn't a regular flight. Why? Because the latter isn't a major city, so not enough people would be interested in the flight so as to make the route profitable for an airline. In fact, there are very few large cities in the southern hemisphere in general. Because of the way the continents are distributed around the Earth, the human population lives in the northern hemisphere. But much to the dismay of flat Earth priests, the southern hemisphere still exists, and its existence is single-handedly enough to make them cry like toddlers that found out the Easter Bunny isn't.
Alright, well,
So that's it.
trying to get this done, but I may end up calling it stream because I just had a massive urge to poop. If I'm leaving this room, I'm gonna just be ending stream.
Then he tried to hide the fact that he lied about it. It was hilarious. I'll link to the video all about this incident below, in case watching him accidentally prove the Earth is a rotating sphere on a Netflix documentary wasn't enough, and you want to laugh some more at this stupid, hopeless moron. To everyone else, I hope COVID ends real soon so we can all visit our favorite places around the globe once more. I'll see you next time.
Extra
Oh wow,
even for your messiest meals.
that's something.
Elevate every day.
That's something I'm gonna throw over here.
And save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month. Deal ends
That.
Hey everyone,
Oh.
So in this little series, I've been demonstrating that the Earth isn't flat without using any science, simply by looking at things like the moon and stars.
Hey guys.
But believe it or not, there's an even easier
Hey
way to
guys,
prove that Earth is the dumbest hoax on the internet.
I'm gonna
which
level with
involves
you.
No observations of any kind, and that is to examine the conspiracy itself. So to begin, let's remind ourselves of what flat Earth priests would have you believe. They tell a story of how the most powerful people in the world over the past several thousand years have conspired to convince its citizens that what they live on is a different shape than what it really is. Beginning as a simple lie, it slowly ballooned in scope, culminating in the 21st century landscape we're familiar with, where every single celestial phenomenon, every field of science, and every aspect of technology must revolve around this spectacular lie. Trillions of dollars are spent every year on fake space missions and paying off an unthinkable number of people, an army of shills, all to keep the deception going. Clearly, this is nothing short of the deepest and most well-orchestrated plot humanity has ever conjured. It represents a level of cost, coordination, and airtight secrecy that seems utterly impossible. But then again, the stakes are high. What is the payoff for all this effort? What do these ultra-elites gain by filling the sheeple's heads with images of globes in outer space? The answer is...
nothing!
Nothing. Yep, that's right. Nothing whatsoever. There is absolutely nothing that anyone could gain from telling this lie. Flat Earth priests themselves typically don't even bother offering a rationale as to the motive. For the few that do, what do they say? Some of them say it's to hide God. Seriously. This is very dumb, as any god who is so weak that it can be hidden by its own creations is clearly not worth worshipping. Also, if that was the plan, then it totally didn't work, since most people in the world do believe in some kind of god. Others insist that it's all about some form of control, but again, this is stupid. Beyond not offering any tangible control, you don't need such
I actually now have a set.
Control of people anyway.
So,
the authoritarian dictatorship.
like I said, I need to move this forward a little bit. Got some boxes in the way I gotta move out. But outside of just a few adjustments, we're good. We got it.
We have to have jobs, and we get into credit card debt, and banks have too much power, yada yada yada. But the shape of the Earth has nothing to do with it, and lying about the shape of the Earth would give no one any advantage or any measure of control whatsoever.
So we're good there. Like I said, I have to go now. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.